Hello and welcome to the Blood and Pigment channel. With the imminent release of Fire on the Frontier, Blood and Plunder has lots of new material to review. We're starting a new series focusing on some of that material, Fortifications. I'm Joseph.
I'm Guy.
And I'm Dan.
Welcome to Fortification Week. Fortifications have been around the game since the beginning of Blood and Plunder as specialized structures, but they've recently been expanded a lot upon the release of Fire on the Frontier.
Today we are looking at the intimidating Stone Tower Fort. This fortified structure is made of stone and wood and has both an upper and lower level, making it a size 2 fortification.
The Stone Tower Fort costs 30 points, which makes it, I think, the most expensive structure in the game. I think that's more expensive than a galleon.
It is, that's right. Should point out that this is a change too. This Stone Tower Fort isn't a new model or structure. It was released a couple of years ago, actually. But it's being put into a book here, and a couple of things have been tweaked, including the cost, which has gone from 20 to 30. So if you find the download on the Firelock website right now, it says 20, but in the book, it's 30 points. And we'll talk about why in a minute. The structure has a fortitude of 6, pretty tough, and a integrity of 4.
4 cannons may be mounted at the top level of the tower. It has 8 embrasures or crenelles, split evenly among its 4 sides.
The Stone Tower Fort has 4 special rules: superior cover, fortified, bastion, and reinforced platform. And if you're feeling really cheeky and don't like having people to play against, you can buy heavily built for 4 additional points.
Completely negate cannons.
So we played quite a few games with this structure as well, and it, like you said earlier, it's imposing. It's quite impressive.
It is. It looks really good.
It's an awesome model, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is an awesome model. It's the stone texture on it is really good. The little battlements at the top are really cool. But it is hard to play against. This thing is tough.
It hurts.
Dan, you said you played a game against this recently. Tell us how that went.
So we did, I think it was Raid. I forget which scenario it was, but I basically had the lay in wait special rule, and we had, the sentries and all that scenario. I managed to get right up close, thinking I would be able to sneak up and throw grenades in the tower fort. Well, that is not what happened. I may have alerted a guard too quickly, and the game started way quicker than I anticipated. And before I was able to get my crack unit of, I think it was Forlorn Hope with explosives up to the front to, throw grenades, they kind of got killed by the guys inside the fort, and the guys on top of the fort, and the guys around the fort.
That sounds right. Were you playing this custom scenario released with this fort?
I believe so, yes. I believe so. It was that one, yes. I will say that if anybody has taken a stone fort and actually won, I want to see a battle report as proof. Because I don't believe it can be done through conventional means. It's really tough to shoot with cannons. To get close to it, you have to worry about the cannons on top, especially if they're cheeky and they bite grape shot. It is so hard to dislodge someone from the inside of that fort.
Well, I will link you a battle report that is on our own blog that you might not have read. But yeah, let's outline kind of what we're dealing with here. So, like you said, it's a 2 section structure. The top section is where you put the cannons. It's open topped, so you can get your drilled infantry up there. Quite a bit of space.
It's what also has the top is where you have bastion and reinforced platform.
Right.
Because for the cannons. And
so you can move your cannons around, you can have heavy cannons.
Yeah.
It's also tall enough that nobody can climb it unless they take the custom or the special climbing equipment. So it's very difficult to access. And then the height of it gives models a bonus shooting down. So anybody walking across the field towards this fort, for one, they're going to be out of cover because as a fortification, you get the privilege of clearing any terrain around it for 8 inches. And then, so you get no cover. And then elevation, they get a penalty of 1. So instead of saving on 9 10s, which is already despair, you only save on 10s. But then the other thing you got to be careful of is with that elevation. I forget where this is in the rulebook, but cannons can't shoot straight down, right? They have a limited range of where they can shoot. You can't shoot anything closer than 12 inches with a cannon off the top of this fort. So once you get within that,
over 10 inches.
is it
I
10
think it was
inches?
10.
Okay.
I think it was 10 inches.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because in that night scenario, it's night, you have a 12-inch range of vision, and the cannons can only shoot between 10 and 12. So it's a little tiny slice of death zone from cannons. It's funny.
It wasn't the cannons I had to worry about. It was the guys on top with muskets.
Oh, yeah.
And the lower story is a whole different deal. Do you want to talk about that, guy?
Oh, a whole different nightmare. The bottom story has 2 of the special rules going for it. It has the special rule superior cover, which means no matter what model you put in there, they save on 3s. So you can put milicianos in there. You could even put civilians in there, and they're saving on 3s no matter what. Even if they go prone, you get another additional -2 to the roll, but you always fail on a 1. So you save on 2s if the unit is prone for some reason.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah, it does have the down or the drawback of you can only shoot out with 4 models at a time. Let me look it up. Yeah, only 4 models can shoot out at a time. And a unit that's in there can never make a defensive attack. So you have to deal with that. But usually it's not that much of a drawback because you just have fire instead and put inexperienced units down there. In addition, a model that wants to attack the fort bottom section with explosives has to be in base contact with the structure to throw a grenade in.
And that's kind of the best way to assault this if you can do it, because that negates the superior cover 3. The explosives will hurt no matter what.
Yeah,
so
but
that's
you got to
the way I've taken this for.
You got to get somebody all the way up to a window to lob a grenade in.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. So it has some. That's what superior cover does. Superior cover is a really hefty trait for this to have. There's a lot to read there. If you have one of these, go ahead and give it a read. It also has fortified, which means that the Stone Tower Fort, the door that it has, and cannot be just moved through like normal, that you have to actually breach it. And you breach it by rolling 4 plus its fortitude. And its fortitude is 6. Starts at 6, unless you get a lot of lucky cannon hits. It starts at 6. So that means that to breach the door, which is a dedicated action to charge through, you have to roll a 10. So to breach through a undamaged fort, you have to roll a 10. So you have to get all the way up to the door, and then do a dedicated action to try charging through. And if you don't roll the 10, you didn't roll a 10. It's
you can get down to an 8 with a club, but
yeah, you can. And that's pretty good. That's 30% chance, but usually by that point you're getting torn up by the models inside and the models on top.
Yeah, last time I played this, I was rushing for the fort. I had all sorts of stuff going on. I had civilians in front of me. I was trying to use meat shields from that special scenario. I got ripped up going across, but I had my indomitable guy with me to keep fatigue off. I finally got up to the gate. I had like 3 men left, and you had like 16 men inside, and I spent my last fortune to try to roll again, try to breach the door. I failed. And there I am sitting with my last assault force, outnumbered 5-1, and you just open the gate and charge out.
Yep. It is just such a slaughter.
I was proud of my bravery, but it was hopeless from the.
At least you made him open the door. I didn't even manage that.
He only opened it because it helps him.
Yeah.
Yeah, breaching on a 10. Oof, that's
Yeah.
tough.
You can also buy. This is one of the with all defenses you can buy additional defenses that make it so if you are charged, then you get to re-roll your saves. That you usually have to pay 1 point per section. The Stone Tower Fort is only 2 sections, so that's only 2 extra points to re-roll a number of saves equal to the fortitude of that section. And its fortitude is again 6. So if they charge in with a group of Fleabuse and they get six hits, you get to roll 6 melee saves on their charge if they somehow broke down that wall. Additional offenses is good. I don't think the heavily built is as needed against this because it's really
It's
hard
already
to.
heavily built.
Yeah, it's really hard to crack open a Stone Tower Fort.
Yeah.
Pretty much impossible with a land force unless you have like 300 points of all artillery crew. Like 15 can't. Don't do that. But a ship might be able to do some damage with a good solid broadside. So there's ways to approach it, but it's intimidating. Rushing up with grenades is the best thing, but so much fire rains down in your head, and it's hard to suppress those guys with a superior cover. The guys on top you can shoot at pretty good, but still, if they have cannons and they're ripping you up, it's a nasty piece of work. That's why it's 30
You
points.
got to
More than a
pay for
Gallia.
multiple units that have those explosives.
Yeah.
So let's now talk about how people can play this in their games. One of the cool things that I was doing number wise is it takes about 72 points to have a Stone Tower Fort and 2 light cannons at the top with grape shot and a crew to run them with a master gunner that you could use in a 100-point game or a 200-point game. So
72 points, you still have 28 points to have a couple groups of militia or something.
that will save on 3s. Yeah. And those light guns, you don't even really need grape shot because with the master gunner and the new or the errata for hitting units with cannons, you can just kill 2 models a turn with those cannons as long as they hit. The base save is, or the base shoot score is pretty low. You're gonna hit, and if you put this in even in a small 100-point game, all the way on your side in your deployment zone, those 2 light cannons are gonna cover the whole board.
Yeah, you can cover a wide swath of the board, especially with cannons if they get some extended range like that. You got to fear that all the way across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that's borderline cheating because I don't think you can get out a force for 100 points that can take that fort out.
I played a 100-point game with that, but I gave them I played against the solo rules, and I gave the opponent medium guns, and those cannon crews, I killed the units they had outside of the fort, but I was never able to even touch the guys up there at the top because they were just raining death medium gun grape shot on the whole board.
It turns out fort's pretty good. A lot of the forts I studied recently, they didn't really see much action. It was a key point, so they built a fort there, and then once the fort was there, nobody wanted to mess with it because it was too difficult to take. So all these cool buildings, and there's no dramatic history because they did their job, and their job wasn't glorious, but it was important. So yeah, go assault the fort, bloody your nose, and you'll understand why they didn't like assaulting these forts.
A kind of fun thing to do with a fort with a model is to use it as terrain in a battlefield where both sides, nobody controls it. Call it a ruined fort or an abandoned fort. take away the fortified ability,
Mhm.
and so that way you don't have to, or even apply like a breach to each side, so you don't even
Right.
have to worry about the superior cover. But that way you can put that in the middle and kind of like have two sides fighting over it.
The
Be a
king
great
of the
take and
hill.
hold piece, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And then that way you get to play with it, you get to see it on the board, and and fight over it, but you don't have to worry about it being oppressive to one side or the other.
But all that is partly why they increased it from 20 to 30 points, which is still not overcosted for sure.
No, I think it's the right point level for this beast.
The Firelock carries us right now. They made an awesome model for it, so if this sounds interesting, I encourage you to go over there and poke around. They have a special scenario for it as well in the download section. Fun night ambush scenario. That's what we already mentioned.
Also, check out Blood and Plunder's article on fortifications. Even though a lot of the information has been supplemented by the Fire on the Frontier, Joseph actually did some great work on it with outlining different scenarios that can be used with fortifications and adjusting them for use with fortifications.
Right, we released that unofficial fortification supplement with some details on how to use them in various scenarios. What were we going to say, Dan? We keep interrupting you.
Sorry, I had a coughing fit. Pardon me. But yeah, one of the things you could do as well for that little abandoned fort scenario is put some light guns on top, but have it so whenever they're fired, they gain 5 reload markers. It's a
Obsolete gun?
traditional 4. Or rusty guns. It's abandoned. They've been up there for who knows how long.
Yeah.
Or that they blow up on a 1.
That would be cool if you roll a 1 on your shoot test, regardless of penalties. If you roll a natural 1, that is a explode.
Those rules
could
are
be
already
cool.
built. Those exact rules, pretty much 5 reloads and blow up on a 1. Those are the obsolete gun rules
Oh,
that aren't official yet, but are in the works for future material.
Well, that would be cool. Yeah. That way, then you want to get to the fort to man the guns, but then it's a tactical choice to continue to use the guns.
Yeah. Well, I encourage you all to pick up the Fire on the Frontier expansion book. It has a whole chapter devoted to fortifications. This is one of the most iconic fortifications, and it works really well for all the pirate era, all the way up and down the coast of the New World and on islands. Not just for the New England, Canada stuff that this book focuses on, but this is great for your pirate games as well. And we'll be covering more fortifications in detail soon.
check out the rest of our YouTube channel as well. We'll be aiming to put out a video every Monday. Subscribe and ring the ship's bell so you can stay notified of our uploads.
As always, keep your dice ready, the wind at your back, yar har.